All right, so let's bring up the 800-pound gorilla, and that is Apple rolling out their VR headset, most likely a VR XR headset that we'll see in the space moving forward. And the impact on crypto may be bigger than a lot of people are thinking. So today we're going to outline not only tokens, but also give you a frame of research that starts to put the pieces of the puzzle together to help you understand how to get a grasp around what this may do to metaverse tokens, as well as a lot of altcoins that could be moving in this space. So it's going to be good. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into TechPath. We'll just jump right into it because this is going to be kind of a clip parade, not necessarily videos, but just a lot of information here. So bookmark as much as you can. You may want to come back to this. Let's start with Mac rumors. Apple likely filed for xrProOS, which is their trademark. This was done via a shell company. These are pretty typical moves by Apple, so I'm not surprised here. But the fact that they've got a unit and the Worldwide Developer Conference just around the corner here, getting ready to drop one, I think they're going to drop it there. With that being the case, a couple things that are happening in the market that probably indicates this. This is where a lot of speculation kind of comes into it. But this is Andrew Hart talking about, and just to give you an idea, Andrew Hart is the founder of Hyper, which is a cool AR tech, retail stores, all that good stuff. Anyway, I'm seeing an insane amount of inbound from VCs wanting to talk recently, primarily because of Apple's new headset, which hasn't even been announced yet. So this is the scenario that is playing out. Now the question is how does this start to affect the rest of the market? If you look at just their graphic, this is their graphic right here. I mean, essentially this is about as subtle as it gets. There's the earpiece, there's the lenses in the front, there's your straps across the top, and yeah, this is going to be a VR headset that we're going to see coming out. The question will be is and how does Apple flow into this? Apple invites XR media outlets to this event, and a lot of these guys had never been invited to an event before with Apple, so they sent invitations to its upcoming WWDC to select media. This was Road to VR. Apple has historically not invited XR media outlets to its events. So just to clarify, further into this again was also over on Uploader VR. Right there, Uploader VR is attending Apple's WWDC keynote on June 5th. This is a date. Mark it on your calendar right now. June 5th could have a very significant play into what's happening in crypto. And there's many reasons why. I'll explain some of that in a sec. This is Ian Hamilton, who's been invited, and just so he says, hey, don't draw any conclusions, but I've never gone to this before. I've never been invited before. So pretty significant overall. I want to jump to a video clip also to show you where some of the tech is rolling out and how this plays into the future of VR. I know all this is getting maybe deep in the weeds. Just bear with me here as we get through this. Let me play this clip. All right, so this one right here, showing a little bit of how VR potential could be used by a company that's developing a new way. Remember, that's a laptop. You don't need a screen because essentially with AR, VR, you now have a new landscape. So this has a lot of potential in the potential of future computing devices. And of course, we're going to need those future computing devices to essentially kind of go to the next level for what this is going to look like. Here was just another video just to show you
your best work.
A little bit about how this may play into it. Again,
where you
these
find
are
your
headsets, but look at these screens as things start to fade to
everything
black
to
there. Now you're looking at a completely different landscape scenario. You take those off, they just disappear. So I don't know. This is going to be very, very interesting going forward. LCD guys must be shaking in their boots right now. This, of course, this is Mark Gurman. This is the infamous leaker of Apple, and he has been accurate so many times. But Hideo Kojima, creator of Metal Gear, Death Stranding, all this, he's been spotted by Apple Campus over the past week. Could mean he's part of the WWDC program. If that is the case, that in itself is going to be huge. If you don't know much about this, start researching a lot of what we're giving to you guys today, because there's a lot of alpha here to get through. To understand, Apple now in talks with Disney and others on VR content for their new headset. That's another potential play into this. Remember, there's so many angles in which this technology could be booming. Think about this in the era of when mobile first began and what we would be using mobile devices for. How much innovation occurred in that platform over the last 15 years This is what we are right now at the center of what could be an explosion in technology advancements. This, of course, was a piece we put out on Twitter right there. Kudos to the Crypto Pit on this one. Reminder, Disney now has a shop tab inside Disney Plus. Explain that to me. What are they going to do with this? This is going to get interesting. So could this mean that we're going to see Apple and Disney starting to play into this? We just had Cryptoies on the other day, and this is dropping. So this again just shows the verification that Disney is thinking NFTs. This, of course, is a Star Wars IP. Go back and check that video out because we got into it with the Cryptoies founder, and it gets into some very good indicators of where Disney might be going here. So obviously Star Wars being one of their top level IPs. New render token event. Remember that this was back in May of 2021. We announced this actually here on the show. Remember that render was actually implemented on the iPad. And if you go over to Apple's website, this is Apple's website. There's the M2 iPad right there. We've shown this before. Octane X. That's render, guys. This is render. So again, more power to a lot of these projects that are starting to move in this direction. Remember, the opportunity for Metaverse, if we say that, is most likely going to live in some sort of virtual reality or XR reality scenario. And that's why I think so much of this has a play on where this is going. This is a clip I want to play. Let me pause it and then we'll get it back here to the start. This is Palmer Luckey, who's the founder of Oculus, and what he had to say. Listen to this right here.
There is a headset that just came out. It's called the Bigscreen VR headset. Highly suggest you guys check it out. It costs less than a Quest Pro. It's $999 instead of $1,500. And instead of 750 grams, it weighs 179 grams. It's a fifth of the weight. It looks like a tiny pair of the smallest ski goggles you've ever seen. And it's super close to your face, better tracking, higher resolution. And the Apple headset that's coming out soon is the next generation display from the same company that makes their displays.
Amazing.
So,
boom. So there it is. That's Palmer Luckey. He is the guy that's in the know when it comes to VR, AR. Obviously, I think he pioneered this area. And this is the connection into how crypto could play into this. So follow me along on the rest of this journey. You're going to like it. Let's go further into this because this is interesting. This was talking about the big screen beyond pre-orders now available via financing. This would be the idea if Apple were to come to the market, much like they do with their iPhones, where you get basically financing for this. You pay monthly and everybody buys this. Nobody buys a $1,400 iPhone. They finance them, or kind of. So that's kind of thing that could fall into the VR headset. I know $3,000 sounds like a lot, but if this replaced maybe a $2,500 MacBook Pro, because you don't need the screens and the LCDs, and all you need is a wireless keyboard interfacing this, can you imagine where computing will be going in the future? Here was a tweet right here, just so everybody remembers, right here, STEPN integrating with Apple Pay. So is Apple Pay, and this is the thing we've asked here on this channel a lot, and that is Apple actually setting up for a play for NFTs and the Metaverse? And this has been the scenario that we think is actually going to start to play out. The key is the device. They need the device to be able to do it. Let's go over to another clip. I want to jump over here just as a reminder that Sony has a full lineup of event. Well, they have an event this month along with many other events. Let me go to a slide real quick just to show you, because there's a very strategic layout here on these events. Let's take a look at this slide real quick. All right, so what you see here is the Game Showcase calendar. This here is May. You've got Sony coming in there with their PlayStation Showcase. Then you've got MetaQuest Gaming Showcase coming right behind it. Then you have the Worldwide Developers Conference from Apple with the most likely a drop of an AR/VR headset. Summer Game Fest coming in right there behind that on June 8th. Then June 11th, you've got Xbox, and then Ubisoft coming in to wrap up. All this is happening in the first 2 weeks of June, people. This is going to be huge because it's going to start to craft a future of where all of this is going. Just so everybody knows, let me kind of zoom in on this data set right here. This was the PlayStation VR 2 launch. Now, the difference with this one, the VR 2 versus the PSVR, is that light blue, okay, versus the darker blue is the VR 2. So this again shows that even with Sony, they're upping their game in terms of total sales. So the market demand, they're starting to see market demand is here. All right, gaming is getting ready to leap forward to the next generation, and how we play into gaming is going to be critical. This is another thing to pay attention to because this is where Apple could kill it. Now, remember that you've got Magic Leap right here. This is technology that if you guys have ever put on a headset that you know, Magic Leap gives you kind of a very limited viewpoint. You get into the MetaQuest Pro, that's that virtual, but the problem with that is people get sick. You know, there's a problem with that physically. This is where I think Apple maybe comes in and goes through on this pass-through model and changes the way and what we experience through this XR component, meaning augmented reality and maybe a virtual reality scenario. So companies like Meta, Apple, all taking the same approach on delivering AR, VR, color cameras on the front of VR-style opaque headsets. Instead, sometimes called mixed reality, that's XR, mixed reality. That's what the OS is going to be called, so XR Pro. So this is going to be huge, guys. I think this will start to play into a handful of projects as we see things laying up into the space. And I'll show you a few projects that are already starting to see a little bit of pump just because of this. This came in Quest 3, suddenly showing as being supported by All Quest Store. Notice that right here, I'm going to just kind of highlight right there. Let me zoom up on that for you guys a little bit. There, it just passed, but right there is Quest 2, Meta Quest right there, Pro, and then guess what? Right there, Quest 3. So this is happening. They're coming out with this. I think we are setting up for an Apple-Facebook showdown. And guess what? Who has a chip? Mark has a chip. And what else do we have? We have Apple with their silicon. So we are going to go head-to-head on AI computing, on virtual reality, and how all of this translates to possibly the next generation of gaming, which means NFTs and or projects that are in crypto that are already moving to virtual reality potentials, things like what we will see with STEPN, things like what we'll see with Over, what we'll see with Seek VR. There's going to be a lot of these projects that come back to life during this next run. Nintendo Switch platform also generating nearly $67 billion in lifetime revenues. And here's the trick to all of this for these platforms is this means hardware sales, accessories. This is where the growth is going. That means they have started to figure out that the platform, much like what the phone platform started in with the iPhone and Apple, it resurrected an industry and literally created the industry as we know it now going forward. So again, could Apple be on the cusp of creating another true iPhone event? I can imagine if Steve Jobs was around, he'd be doing that beautiful thing of, oh, just one more thing, and then they drop it. We'll see. Just to be aware, these are the Summerfest partners. Netflix is in here. Oh, no, Netflix. Oh, wait a minute. Here's Amazon. Oh, there's Activision. Disney. Do you guys get the picture yet? We are about to see an explosion in technology that had the internet, had Twitter been around in 2007 when the iPhone dropped, these are the kind of things we would have been able to uncover. And I think we are getting ready to hit a place that's going to be pretty cool. Remember, everybody was asking me earlier this week, even on the mastermind, what was causing render to pump? We said, hey, there's a lot of website movement, but watch out for Pudgy Penguins. This was, of course, rendered by Render. And here it is right here. #1 on the Amazon toy new releases list. Guess what? Amazon just got a wake-up call to, guess what? A phygital. Do you know what a phygital it is? Part digital, part physical. This is where the market is going to be exploding, and this is where brands are going to start to realize they're going to turn on their headsets, and they're going to realize this digital interface that's starting to connect to physical projects and products. So big opportunity right here. Render, don't forget, right here was the tweet they put out. Pudgy Penguins, newly released on the toy video, animated and composed or composited by Render power users. Right there, guys, this is the example that what we'll see in the opportunity of using digital and ecosystems around collectibles through the Render ecosystem. Now, that doesn't mean that Render is going to be the play. You've got Google, Samsung coming in here with VR, XR. Google hints at a Samsung AR VR headset, could be revealed later this year. I don't think this is a could be. This is a must-have for Samsung and Google. Meta had the early lead I think, squandered a lot. Usually it's the first guy out of the gate that gets the bloodiest because they've got to do so much development. Apple has the device handle, and Apple has, guess what? The largest market share for something like this, which is a much more cosmetic, virtual, experiential scenario. And I think that's where it plays into Apple's benefit. And right here, Samsung to acquire the AR/VR micro display company, eMegan, for $218 million. This is a small company that, again, micro displays, being able to offer more chip. Everybody's going after the chip business. This is going to be where it gets really interesting. Don't forget, all of this is going to be talking about where the future goes in VR, AR. We've been talking about AI, but I think a lot of people have been sleeping on where AR, VR is going to go in game. This is not old news. It's a new one. This is Samsung, again, also dropping news. Samsung members, NFTs now are minted on the NFT marketplace, CCCV. Authenticity and ownership of the NFT is protected by the Ergo blockchain. What does this mean, people? It means that the big boys are starting to make moves that are out in public and are in a position to where NFTs become normalized into mainstream. Here it is, how to make NFTs with your Galaxy device. This is the Samsung website, people. Everybody says NFTs are dead. No, that is not what is going to happen. We are about to see a shift in all things technology that is going to have a link to what's happening on the blockchain, the future of smart contracts, where NFTs and digital collectibles will go. There's been a lot of companies out there that have been playing in this space, but they were basically playing in the kindergarten sandbox. We are about to see the big kids come to the playground for the first time, and I think it's going to change the direction of where all this goes. Here's Google AR VR. Right here, this starts to apply another technology that you guys know, and that's Google Maps. Google Earth. We'll start to see integrations of this into what I think will be the next Google, and they even talk about in this learning pathway, Google I/O, to find out how to access building geometry, all that. I'm still not sure why we haven't seen maybe a play here by Matterport. Matterport is one that's in the real estate industry, but they have a technology that's designed for mapping capabilities. So again, this might be a scenario where we see a lot of VR use case starting to play into Google. Google has the lead there. Then you go over here, Google AR VR. Don't forget Gap, Mattel, all are using AR to transfer iconic Gap store in Times Square, interactive Gap, and also a Barbie experience coming in. This is, again, already happening. This is all happening right now, guys. All of this is happening. As we say, as our guys would say, it's happening. And then here you go, new Google 3D Tiles API shows you how to create video in the game. Guess what? This is Ready Player Me. So now we've got Ready Player Me jumping into the mix, all tying this in together because all this technology has been being created over the past couple of years. We're now starting to see the vein of how this technology can be implemented into the future. All right, so this is just Twitch showing how integration is, and you've got content creators now using Miranda's, this of course being Spider Tanks, but this shows you the example of how NFTs and integration is starting to make its way in. Already see it. You guys know we've been talking about this quite a bit. If you're not following our Diamond Circle, make sure and get in because we do a Web3 podcast over there with Kyle and myself, and we talk about these things. But right here, guess what? Headline, Microsoft now free to close Activision, Blizzard acquisition. This gets back into it, guys. Activision is in the game, and now they're in the game with Microsoft. All of this is coming together. This was a worry of mine. All right, so we're back to the slides here, and I just want to showcase this a little bit because you've got Ubisoft in there, and we just talked about the Microsoft connection. Here's Assassin's Creed also saying, hey, we're bringing in AC Smart Collect, Brotherhood, Collect, Explore, Synchronize into a new world. Again, NFTs all integrated in. We talked about this in another show over on Metaverse Insider here recently. So again, movement in the space. Sandbox already, we know what its connection is. A cool NFT museum. Just more. Remember, Rabbids is in on this as well, getting back into the connection of tying all these pieces together. And what you have to look at is who benefits from this on the crypto side. Who benefits on this in the smart contracts blockchain side. And there's a handful of projects out there that will do this. Viverse, of course, is already deep into this being HTC. We've had Pearly Chen on our show before. Probably should have them back on, but they are already moving in this direction with Viverse, which is their headset, the HTC Vive. Again, more technology, more companies moving in the right place. Last up here was Whale Watcher, basically saying, Watcher Guru saying, China launches a government-backed metaverse platform. Interesting timing here as all of this starts to play forward of the future. This is the coin market cap, metaverse, and VR AR tokens by market cap. I've done a sort quickly by the 7-day, and many of you guys will know. Let me zoom in on this right here and kind of highlight. Over, of course, has had this massive move here recently, mostly because of what's happening with Apple. This is one I'm watching very closely just because of the market cap itself, but I'm more interested in how VR in general is going to be associated with what happens with Apple, because now the race is on. Apple drops a headset. We are now seeing a head-to-head and soon to be a 3-man race. It's all the 4 horsemen. You know, it's no different than what we've seen in the mobile devices world. But Apple and Meta are now. Meta's in the mix a little bit more so than Google and Samsung. Samsung and Google, I think, will be coming to the plate as well. But what it does mean, guys, is you've got to put a lot of attention toward these VR projects in crypto. I want you to pay a lot of attention to that. Render, of course, you guys already know my position on Render. I'm still looking at an entry point under 2 for Render. I know everybody's been asking me that, but it's very possible we could see a good run on Render. So if you are holding it and you're safe with that, maybe you've already made quite a bit on Render in your position, do you test this out and let it run? Kind of like with Over. If you look at Over, let's go over here to the chart real quick, and I'll get in on this one, and we'll go just to the 7-day. And you can kind of see here was this quick run on Over coming up from what was 31 cents. So it almost doubled, over doubled in that short period of time, adjusted, and it's just flattening out right here. So it's waiting for this June 5th. I think this could be one that might be playing into it. Not telling you to trade that, not financial advice, but it is an interesting scenario that's shaping up here. So a lot happening in the space, as you can see. This is about to get very interesting this summer, because this is one thing that I think will detach away from traditional crypto. Finance crypto over here, traditional blue chip tokens, Bitcoin, Ethereum, versus what we'll see in the VR, AR, Metaverse / NFT markets. This will act differently than what blue chips will act, because gaming is going to be the driving force of that, and brand integrations are going to be the next big step. So pay attention to all this. The reason you pay attention to this is because you're tuned into our channel. This is where you're going to get this kind of drop dead information. There's no other place out there, not any other YouTuber. Nobody is going to this depth of research and understanding of where the market is going. I think we have the best team that's doing this. I hope you do too. If you do, hit the subscribe button, hit that like, and share this video out to somebody and say, hey, you really need to pay attention here. There's some new technology, even if you're just thinking stocks and you're looking at Google, Apple, and other technologies, the chip makers, et cetera, that could flow into this market. Be aware. This is where technology starts to drive forward, and I think we're in a place right now that everybody will look back on in a few years and go, wow, that was an iPhone event, and an opportunity to catch Apple on another big fly. And just remember, Apple's been climbing here recently, their own stock, in advance of what's going to happen on June 5th. Put it on your calendar, mark it, and of course, let me know your thoughts. I'd love to get your input, what you think in the marketplace from a blockchain NFT side, and also where the gaming market, which I believe still is the thing that moves in the next market, is gaming in Web3. So we'll get into all that stuff, of course. If you guys are not following me out there on Twitter, make sure and do that. It's simply @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.